Hey there! Today I want to talk about fixing some mistakes. Some are ours, some are not ours, but got some stuff we got to figure out today. First thing we need to address today, we got a couple different projects going on, is a plumbing situation over here. And there's a lot of city water lines that are run all over this farm and kind of just, I don't know how to say this, but you know, installed in a way that wasn't great. I mean, they're really like, some of the places it's only like 3 or 4 inches down below the surface, and that's not going to work for a few reasons. One, it makes me nervous about frost stuff, although it doesn't really freeze very much here. But the other thing is, it's in growing areas, and so if it's only 3 inches down below the surface, you can't broad fork, you know, might interfere with plants, all that kind of stuff. So let me show you what's going on over here. All right, so the guys here have already uncovered quite a bit of this, but this is the main city water line that runs over to a hydrant here, and then also to our wash station, and as that fill on our rainwater system. So this is a very important line on our farm, and you can see how shallow it really is. It's probably only, as I said, a couple inches down. So we're gonna have to dig that out and put it down deeper. So that's really the goal there. And so we're gonna get it at least off the field and make sure we get this down lower so that if we're broad forking or anything like that, it just won't be in the way. So that's the first thing that these guys are gonna be working on today. So here you guys can see this is probably, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 inches down. So we're gonna dig this out and have it go down and across and back up just to get it completely out of the way so anyone who's farming here, there we go, you won't have a problem. All right, well that's a mistake that was made from whoever installed that previously, but I wanna talk about some mistakes that we've made on the farm already this season. One of which is this last block that we built, which is block A, and the mistake that happened here was that when we got the compost, it was still very hot, and it was also quite stinky, and I think we should have left it for longer to finish breaking down and off-gassing before we used it. And we were just eager to plant, and we had stuff that needed to go in the ground, and we got the compost like right before we needed it, so we didn't really have much time to let it sit and age and hang out and break down. So we planted a bunch of stuff out here, and most things didn't work. And I think that's part of the reason. I think it was too hot, and I think it was still off-gassing, and I think it killed some of the seeds that were in there. So that's part of the issue. And like, we had a bed of arugula here, it never came up. We had a bed of carrots, never came up. Some of the lettuce isn't doing great. For some reason, the beets did okay that we direct seeded. We direct seeded some beans. I'd say we probably got about 20 to 25% germination. So for whatever reason, that just was not working. And so it's been here, the compost has spread out a couple weeks, so I direct seeded a couple of beds at the end of last week, and the arugula is already coming up. So what we're doing here is we planted 3 beds of beans, and we are just gonna transplant what germinated into 1 bed and then replant 2 of those beds. So again, if you are buying compost, I've had really great success with the compost that we've gotten from this company, but you know, it may be the time of year where, I don't know, it just comes a little hotter because they're trying to crank out as much compost as possible because people need a lot of compost in the spring. I'm not sure, but I definitely noticed when it got delivered that it was different than usual, and that should have been a red flag. We should have been like, whoa, let's wait, either build the beds, let them sit for a little while, and then plant, or just let the pile sit for a while. But you know, these are mistakes, you learn from them and you move on from them. Let's talk about something else. Another mistake I want to talk about is overwatering. And it always takes a little bit of adjustment when you're on a new property, a new farm, new system, all those things. And some things I'm observing coming from Satin Hill Farm, which is a very different land than it is here. The big differences are there's no shade here whatsoever. At Satin Hill Farm, at my property, there was quite a bit of trees around. Even though we took out a lot of trees, there was a lot more shade. And so here it's full sunlight all day. The other thing is it's a lot windier here because there's less trees around. Also, there's this big softball field behind us here, and most of the winds come from the west or the northwest, and it's always blowing here. And so that's just something to get used to. So the top layer of soil dries out very quickly, and it's a little bit harder on the plants. I have to do a better job hardening them off. So, you know, these are things that are different, and also that it's very flat here. So at my property, you had the slope, so when you watered or when it rained, a lot of the moisture would go off and down the hill. So very different here. So I think one of the things that's been a mistake of mine is overwatering. And I think there's a few things that have contributed to that. Some of the things I mentioned before, but also the fact that with the lasagna bed, and I hadn't done this style before with the cardboard and then the compost, is that, you know, at my property, I had the chickens clear all the land, and then I lay down compost. And here we have that cardboard layer, And so I think part of the issue is that first few weeks before the cardboard breaks down, and it does break down rather quickly, is that it kind of keeps the moisture from going below the cardboard. And so the top layer of compost stays very wet. And I guess I didn't realize that because with the wind here especially, the soil looked very dry on top, and I was checking it with my hand to make sure, but I think I was overwatering it, and some of the plants kind of suffered a little bit from that. And it is what it is. And you know, I've adjusted the irrigation. We've also had a lot of fluctuation with weather in terms of temperature, precipitation, and so we're getting these things dialed in. It's a new farm, and it's gonna take some getting used to, but I think that's another mistake that I'm obviously working on here. Well, one thing is never be afraid to, you know, give up on a bed and start over. I think it's important that if the bed is not gonna be very successful, you're not gonna get a good yield, feel free to turn it over. This bed of sorrel was really inconsistent with the germination, so we flamed it with the flame weeder, and then we're tilting it and raking it, and we're gonna replant. Well, the guys over here got this done, bury it down deep enough that we feel comfortable putting beds here, and just feel better overall knowing that that's just out of the way. And you know, always trying to make things right here, right? Not just take the shortcut. And so sometimes it involves, you know, a little bit extra work and just motivation and, you know, determination to get that done. But just people take the shortcut, and then it's a mistake that you gotta fix afterwards. So glad to have this taken care of. Good to get that plumbing project done. And we also flipped a couple beds that needed to be replanted. So direct seeded a couple crops out there. So that's great. Got those blocks nice and full. What I want to work on today, at least for a couple hours, is this is our rainwater garden over here, and this has just sort of been here, and we've been trying to figure out what to do with it. But it's kind of really at the center of the farm, and when customers are here for our farm stand, it's really where people are hanging out, and it's really could be a really nice showpiece, and it really kind of divides the main area here between here and the beds over here. So I think we're gonna try to work on this, try to clean it up a little bit. It's kind of like there's a bunch of random concrete here, and stuff's planted without much thought, and so we're gonna try to clean this up a little bit today. All right, here's what we got going so far. So we pulled out all of this concrete here. Look at this. This is all just in this bed here. And we're starting to pull out a lot of the weeds and stuff, and all these elephant ears. We're gonna pull them out and then put them back in a good pattern here, some organization. All this grass in the middle, we're just gonna keep it here. Sort of the main plant in the middle to catch the water. And we're gonna plant blueberries. We have a bunch of extra blueberries around, growing in places they shouldn't be on the property. So we're gonna put them in around the border here. But we're gonna try to get all these weeds out here, get down a bunch of wood chips, get it all cleared out. Oh, I had to put the camera down for a little while. We're just cranking this out. Let me show you guys around. All right, I'm kind of bummed I didn't take a real before shot, but basically we had just stuff growing on top of each other, and all that concrete was just inside the middle there, kind of a mess. So we got a nice border here. Thinned out all the grasses, took out all the dead stuff. Actually split one of these big grasses into two. Have a nice little design. We got these elephant ears around here. And we had some random blueberry plants around the property, kind of put in the wrong spot, like they were in shade and stuff like that. So we got these here. So we got a nice setup. I think it looks really cool. And really just going to be sort of the center of the farm here when people are hanging out. Really happy with this. So it was a long day at the farm. I'm actually back home now, and I just want to say that it's okay to have mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes, and sometimes the mistakes are your fault, sometimes they're someone else's, and sometimes you don't know whose they are. But either way, you got to accept those, move on, make them better, and fix things. And when you fix things, try to do it the right way, and I think that's important. And you know, there's always things you can learn from farming, and there's always takeaways, but you learn from that, you move on, and you do better the next time. And I think that's really what I'm trying to get across today. And the other thing is, you know, focus on the beautification of your farm. Make it a nice place to be. Make it nice for visitors when they come, for you when you're working there, for employees that are working there, or volunteers. Make it a place that just, it feels good when you're there. I think that's important. So, you know, we're trying to do that whenever we have a few minutes here and there. We're trying to work on some of those projects because, you know, once things get rolling pretty quickly, we're not gonna have time for little projects like that, I have a feeling. So, and if you guys picked it up, I have a Raleigh City farm hat, and I'm sure some of you guys are gonna ask questions about this. Right now, there's just a small group that we did of them, and I'm hoping that we can eventually do it like an online sale or something like that. And Lisa, if you're watching this, I apologize. Lisa's our director, but I have a feeling some of you guys might be interested in purchasing one. So I'm hoping that if we get enough people interested, maybe maybe we can make that happen. And so send her a message. Either send her an email through the website, which is raleighcityfarm.org, or send her a DM on Instagram at Raleigh City Farm. Links are down below. And maybe if you got enough of you guys ask for it, maybe we can make it happen. I don't know. Just saying. Maybe it's a thought. Hope you got a takeaway from this video, and that, you know, mistakes are okay. Just don't get down about it. Push forward. Make things better. All that kind of stuff. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Hey there at Raleigh City Farm today, and why don't I say that? All right, so the first thing we're going to address here is we have some plumbing situation here. There's a lot of cool plants in here, but it's been kind of, and it's right next to where we do the farm. Oh, God, it's so windy. All right, here's how we got going so far. That doesn't make any sense. Maybe I should just rock that. I'm gonna do a final shot somewhere else. I'm just gonna do the rain garden shot. I'm recording this for no reason. Okay. All right.